Welcome to the Bourbon Retriever. My name is Chris, and today we are reviewing Pursuit United's Double Oak Bourbon. I think this is the best double oak on the market right now, but there is a small caveat to that. You're gonna want to stay tuned. So for those of you who know nothing about this Pursuit United brand, it was started by the fellows behind the Bourbon Pursuit podcast. It's Ryan and Kenny. These guys are some of the OG people who covered bourbon. Back in the day when they started, there really wasn't much media around bourbon, and they did one of the first formats of it, which was podcasts. I'm sure if you've seen my channel, you know about them, but if you have not, definitely go and check out their podcast. They have some great interviews from people in the industry, especially in their archives that goes back a while, so I highly recommend you go and check out some of the interviews with some of the distillers back in the day. They are really great conversations. But getting back to this bottle, this is their Double Oak Bourbon, except it is different than almost every other mainstream double oak on the market. If you think of like 1910, the Woodford double oaks, those are double oaked in American oak, whereas this is double oaked in French oak, and those give vastly different profiles. The Woodford and the 1910, those are more like chocolatey, marshmallow, toasted, heavy, dense, thick, dark syrup notes. And a lot of people, when they have those, they might be turned off a little bit. So if you are someone who is not a big double oak fan, I think this is a bottle you should definitely try because it has much different notes and much more lighter, crisper, and my quintessential note in this is butterscotch, but we can get into those notes a little more when we get into the review itself. This comes in at 108 proof, great proof point. I think that is like almost the ultimate proof point for whiskey. The whiskey inside of this bottle is coming from 3 different states. It is Tennessee, Kentucky, pretty generic, normal places for whiskey. The third one threw me off a little bit is from New York. I'm not sure exactly what they're getting from New York in this blend, but that's the base components that they're blending together to go into this double oaked. So earlier in the video, I mentioned there was a catch with this bottle, and it comes down to the laser coat on it. I'm sorry, I know we've gone through this enough with these bottles, but these are all small batch blends, and you will have variation in laser codes, and I am absolutely a fan of this batch. It reminds me a lot of what the first batch was, what they're trying to get in that first batch. And if you look on the back of this bottle, this specific one is 12 CE. So how to read these batch numbers is the first 2 numbers is the month. So this would be December, and then the next 2 letters are the last 2 numbers of the year. So A is 0, and so here would be C, which would be 2, and then E would be 4. So this is December 2024. So if you can find this batch code in your area, definitely go pick it up. For instance, I have another one here that I will do a side-by-side here just to reaffirm. We'll test it, see maybe my opinions have changed, but this is 3CD, so this was March of 23, and you can see just how much of a difference these bottles have been hit. And I just never go to this bottle because there's just this very sharp bitter note on the back end that just doesn't quite sit well with me. This one actually is my friend's bottle, and I'm pretty sure this is almost all of me. Every time I go to his house, I pour this whiskey just because I love it that much. But let's go ahead and jump into it and actually give you notes from drinking it instead of just talking about my past impressions, because who knows, maybe it's changed. I'll do a side-by-side here of both bottles. All right, let's start off with the bottle that I think you guys be chasing, the 12 CE. Cheers. Yeah, that is just a deep, rich butterscotch bomb. I might just be going through a super sweet phase right now with the spring coming up. I'm just digging those super sweet notes, and this hits that to a T, and it doesn't have any of those darker notes like the chocolates or the coffees that you get in traditional American oaks. This French oak is just hitting the spot with me right now with these double oaks. And I just love how prominent that butterscotch note is. A lot of times in bourbons, especially lighter, sweeter ones, it can be a little more faint and you kind of have to go searching for notes, but this one is not that. That butterscotch note is very prominent, and especially since I'm digging it, I'm a big fan of that. And there's no ethanol I'm getting on the aroma here, which is, I think, a good sign for somebody who's getting into whiskey. You definitely want those double oaks are typically on the lower proof side. It doesn't have the ethanol burn, and this one doesn't have that either on the aroma. I'm doing the review today out of my personalized Glens I made here with the Bourbon Retriever logo. I think these turned out fantastic. If this is something that you're interested, send me an email. I can ship these out to you guys. They're about $12 a glass plus whatever shipping costs from Virginia to your place. I really know though, I only have 17 of these left until I do another order. So if these are something you're interested, definitely let me know. Let's go ahead and jump into the palate. Okay, right off the bat, the texture I get in my mouth, which to me is a very important part of a bourbon. This is very creamy, very thick on your palate there, which is a good sign. You don't want a watery, crisp bourbon. A good bourbon is gonna have a nice, thick mouthfeel. But yeah, that front to mid palate is just a deep butterscotch bomb. Like if you were looking for that note and wanna know what butterscotch is, this is the bottle to buy to find that. You find that note on a lot of older dusty whiskeys, which is probably another reason that I am in love with this bottle, because this is only, I think, $60 to $70, which to be able to get that note at that price point is phenomenal. You don't have to go be hunting those really old bottles like Dusty Turkeys, old whiskeys that are gonna cost you much more and are really hard to find. So I think this is a great bottle to get maybe like what those butterscotch notes you might get in older turkey bottles. And then as it transitions to the back half of the palate, that's where you get a little bit of oak notes into it. And it turns into almost like a caramelized butterscotch. It gets a little richer there, but it's not burnt. And that is the issue I get with this bottle, but let me go ahead and jump into it just to make sure my memory is correct on it. Yeah, right off aroma, I'm not getting as much butterscotch sweetness. I'm getting much more of like a burnt caramel on the aroma of the other batch, which isn't bad. It's not a bad bourbon, this batch here. It's just not what I was hoping for when I bought the bottle, because I originally had one of their first batches and I fell in love with that butterscotch note, and I've just been chasing it since. So I bought this bottle after trying it at a share, and I just was a little disappointed that there was that much variance from the first batch that I tried. All right, let's go on the palate. Yeah, so you have that same sweetness in the front, but it's not as prominent. It's much more subdued. It doesn't quite hit those high notes that you want in that butterscotch note. And then as it transitions to the late to mid palate, it gets really hay, like almost what you'd get in like a craft wheat whiskey maybe. It just gets really grainy on the back end there. And that is the off-putting note that I'm getting in this batch, that hay grainy note, which is just something I just do not want in a bourbon. And don't get me wrong, I still really enjoy the aroma on this. It's just different. You get much more of that caramel note I was talking about. And in the front to mid palate, there's still nice notes. It's just nothing exceptional. And then the big issue with the bottle though is the back end, the finishing that you get on it. And it kind of leaves a little off-putting note. And it's just, as you can tell, it's a bottle that I just don't go to that often. Before I get into my final takes on the Pursuit United Double Oak, if you're enjoying this content, hit that subscribe button. That way you don't miss any of my future videos. So for about $70, should you go buy a Pursuit Double Oaked Bourbon? If you can find this exact batch code, the 12CE, must buy, backup buy, maybe even buy a case of them. Maybe not actually buy a case, that's a little exaggerated, but I think this bottle can go head to head with some of the best whiskey of the year, at least in my opinion, just because how much I love that French oak note. And I recommend everyone to buy it because I think it is quintessentially what you should be able to get out of French oak finished whiskey. However, if you cannot find this exact batch, it's a little bit more hit or miss, especially this one, the 3CD. If you have that one or you see it on the shelf, I mean, I would not recommend you to get it. I don't think it is the best expression of what this could be. Now, if you find a different batch code, that's gonna be more of a toss-up. It's gonna have to be a gamble. If you think it's gonna be closer to this bottle or this one, if it's a local liquor store that you or have a relationship, maybe they'll have one open to sample, but it's gonna be a little more of a toss-up on that front. So I hope I haven't caused too much of a debacle with the latest batch codes here, but if you've enjoyed this content, hit the subscribe button. That way you don't miss any of my future videos, and check out this video before you head out. Until next time, cheers.